took a stand on principle and offered a better solution. Tax relief for working families and small businesses, twice the jobs at half the cost, and the American people said, we choose your ideas, not theirs. Now, Republicans won the argument because I think we got back to basics, fighting for the principles and ideals that make this nation great. We got back to fighting for basic economic freedom, free enterprise, and fiscal responsibility. This is the way back for our movement and for our party. Now, fighting for free enterprise means standing up for free markets. The freedom to succeed includes the freedom to fail. We must defend entrepreneurial capitalism against the onslaught of the American left. You know, the American people know what makes sense and what doesn't. We can't borrow and spend and bail our way back to a growing economy. We can't bail out every failing business in America. And we cannot ask hardworking families who've paid their mortgages and played by the rules to bail out the irresponsible decisions of others. This must not stand. But that's exactly what the Democrats are doing. And we're still, you know, Americans are not being asked. We're like being told. And earlier this week, President Obama actually announced a plan to raise taxes in a recession, to pay for massive federal spending on universal health care and global climate change. Let me tell you something, Mr. President. There's no hope in mountains of debt, and there is no change in higher taxes on working families. The truth is, they just don't get it. After writing a stimulus bill that was really nothing more than a wish list of liberal spending priorities and power grabs, Speaker Nancy Pelosi went to the House floor the day of the final vote. And she stood up in front of the American people and she said, and it's a quote, she said, "Every American is asking." She said this, really. She said, "Every American is asking, what's in it for me?" She thinks the American people are a bunch of congressmen. I think the American people were asking two things. Number one, different than 246 Democrats who voted for it, the American people actually want to know what was in the bill. The American people weren't asking what's in it for me. They were asking what's in it for America. American people don't get up every day with the hand out. They were looking at that bill and looking at Capitol Hill, and they were hoping that there'd be something in there that would strengthen the foundations upon which our prosperity rests. As the details of that bloated bill emerge, the answer to what's in it for America was too clear. What's in it for America is generations of debt, burdening our children and our grandchildren with debt tomorrow to fund liberal priorities today. And the American people aren't happy about it. And they know this is not just about dollars and cents. It's about who we are as a nation. President Reagan said in 1964, it's about whether, quote, we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them for ourselves, close quote. Well, my money's on the American people. The morning after the banking bailout last fall, I was back home at a Boy Scout jamboree. And a man of very modest means approached me on that hillside in Henry County. Hat in his hand, he told me he'd been fired from his job the day before. And then he said words that I'll never forget. He said, "Congressman, I came by to thank you for voting against that Wall Street bailout." Because he said, I can get another job. I can't get another country. It's for that brave American, and on behalf of his right to live and work in freedom, conservatives must resolve to oppose the march of big government. It will stifle our recovery, change the nature of our country forever, and we will fail that man. And we are going to oppose it with everything we've got on Capitol Hill. You know, it's not just our economic freedom that's coming under assault. We also have to fight for our freedoms in the workplace and on the airwaves. Free elections without fear of intimidation are essential in an open and democratic society. It's been a hallmark of our country from its birth. But the other side's got a different idea. The so-called Employee Free Choice Act actually envisions a world where men and women in the workplace would be denied privacy and forced to vote in an atmosphere of intimidation. By pushing card check, Democrats are trying to drive democracy from the workplace. But the working men and women of America deserve better, and conservatives will fight to see that we have freedom in the workplace of America by defeating card check. And the freedom to listen, as Cliff Kincaid said so memorably and has been such a champion, the freedom to listen to what we want when we want is a blood-bought American right, despite assurances to the contrary by the White House. Nancy Pelosi, Dick Durbin, Dianne Feinstein all openly advocate a return of censorship to the airwaves of America. Let me say emphatically, allowing bureaucrats to decide what opinions can be expressed on the public airwaves of America is nothing more than government rationing of free speech.